He plays Coach Beard on Ted Lasso. I don't know if Brendan wants to join us now, but Brendan Hunt joining us on the program. Come on in. Stay a while. Good to talk to you. How are you?
I mean, gosh, do I got to start my day with talk of filthy crudité?
Yes. How many days? Well, that's a normal day for you.
What is happening on this show?
So take me back to when this all started.
Sure. I mean, first of all, Brendan Hunt, 6'0", 195.
All right.
And we did these commercials for NBC Sports because they got the coverage of the Premier League back in 2013. The offer was to fly me and Jason Sudeikis and Joe Kelly to London for 3 whole days. And we were like, 3 days in London? That's the job of a lifetime. So we happily took it, and now we're 3 years into a TV show, this crazy dumb thing.
But when the promos were done, when did the idea of we could make this a show?
We did the promos 2 years in a row because the first one went well enough that like that ad company won whatever kind of awards they win for ads. And after the second one, me and Joe and Jason, Jason particularly was like, hey guys, this thing is fun, right? There's something more to this than the sum of its parts. Let's figure out something more to do with it. And we didn't know if it was a movie or more commercials or a TV show. Well, we started thinking about a TV show and thinking about it in the model of the UK Office of 6 episodes and a special, sort of 3 chunks. We wrote up a pilot. We put together a structure, and then nothing happened for about 5 years. Jason and Joe's careers were going very well. I was rotting on a vine in LA, very much considering a career return to dinner theater. And then at the last minute, a couple years ago, Jason was like, oh, I'm having lunch with Bill Lawrence tomorrow. We'll see what happens. And this happened.
Is it a benefit, an advantage to know more soccer or less soccer?
In my shoes, it's a benefit because it turns out, even though we have some English people on the writing staff, I'm like the soccer guy. And every once in a while, I just get turned to like, okay, Brendan, what would happen here? And I tell them what would really happen for a given situation, and then we generally ignore that. But it's good to know what's supposed to happen before we break the rule of what we decide to actually do.
Because you're sort of a savant, but I don't know if people realize you're a soccer savant during the show. Is that fair with your character?
Yeah, I think it's kind of at least comparatively, certainly compared to most of the rest of America. Because I didn't get into soccer till I was in my mid-20s, and when I had this job in Amsterdam doing comedy out there, and then I discovered that soccer didn't suck. And I became a sponge and tried to just, soak up every bit of history and trivia and factualities that I possibly could. And it hasn't gone away since I've moved to the States. I'm still now full on soccer nut.
The reaction in the United States compared to the reaction in England, how big of a disparity between the two when it first started?
Well, when it first started, yeah, no one in England knew who we were at all, and we could walk freely among them. And then shooting the second season was COVID mostly, so we could still kind of walk around. But now, year 3, I decided that for year 3 I was going to live in Richmond. I could do so quite anonymously. The UK isn't watching this show yet, and I wanted the pub from the show to be my local. By year 3, the UK has caught up to Ted Lasso, and I can no longer go to that pub. It's like if tourists go to Boston and they go to the Cheers bar, and suddenly Cliff is there.
So you actually would go to the bar that you go to, a local pub. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Richmond's awesome, and Richmond Green, that little park basically where the pub is in real life in the show is hypnotically quaint. I would spend weeks at a time there if I possibly could, except now I absolutely can't.
The timing with COVID, it felt like we needed feel good. A lot of these shows are, let me pick out the guy that is the least detestable and everybody's detestable, like Succession. You watch and you go, well, you don't like any of them, but you do love the show. It was different with Ted Lasso. but I don't know what role COVID played or the pandemic and we're at home and needing feel-good stories played in the success.
Yeah, we're not quite sure either. I mean, and obviously, we sure would have preferred that people were watching it, of their own volition, and despite having plenty of options of how they could do their night. Now, here we were with a captive audience, and if we're gonna have a captive audience, at least make them feel a little better. But certainly, the show was written before COVID and edited during COVID, and then it finally came out. Yeah, like at a real COVID high point, about 6 months into it, I guess, and whether that was a multiplier or not, from then on, the reaction that we were getting from people, even before a lot of people were watching the show, was immediately intense and really like an elevated kind of connection for a show that had only just come out, and it's been pretty breathtaking to be part of.
We're talking to Brendan Hunt, the actor, writer, producer. He's Coach Beard on Ted Lasso. Season 3 arrived, final season, apparently, on Apple TV Plus. That'll be Wednesday, March 15th. Final season?
We just don't know for sure right now. Again, we've always saw this as like a 3-sweet movement, and here we are with the conductor waving that baton with a sense of finality. And we're definitely ending this story we started out to tell, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the end. It does mean we're gonna finish this up, and we're gonna take a little break because we're very tired of each other's adorable hairy faces. And after about a year and a half or so, we'll come back together and see what's up.
Give me the episode where you go, I can't believe we're doing this.
I guess the first episode of season 2, where we really felt it was important to start things off by killing a dog, because we had become by then, the feel-good show, the show that's like a hug. I don't know. We're kind of a sitcom, guys. Just to remind everybody what's up here. We're just gonna kill a dog right away. Break the first rule of sitcoms, and everybody can just sit a little further away from their television for a little bit, and we'll get you back. We'll get you back. But
whose idea was it to kill the dog?
100% Jason.
Of course it was.
Jason was reading Twitter. He was crying at all the reactions. Like, oh my God, this show means so much to people. We have to kill a dog. We got to kill a dog right away.
I wonder if you had a spinoff of one or two of the characters coming to the United States.
I mean, there have been some pitches. There are some things on the table. And I'm not at liberty to say, but you're on the right track, Dan.
Oh, okay. All right.
Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but you're on the right track.
When's the last time you got mad at Jason?
I mean, bless Jason's heart. Like he's built to suffer a million micromads. Because he's on his own time. He will answer emails and texts at his own pace. Which is very understandable. The man's got the weight of the world on his shoulders and all that. But like, oh, Jason, please, I just got to let this guy know if I need 3 tickets or 4, please just tell me. Just tell me. So I'd say 10 times a day.
Really?
Final answer.
Who do you model your acting career after?
Well, we whenever you're trying to set your life up, you definitely want to like try to find that person who no one knew about till they were 48 years old.
Tommy Lee Jones was like that, though, Brendan.
Tommy Lee Jones.
That's it. We did it. Tommy Lee Jones.
If I could have had a vice president for a roommate, this all would have happened just a little bit faster. But we can't all.
Okay, but you're playing a coach. Do you channel any coaches? You grew up in Chicago, so you're a sports fan. Do you kind of say, okay, this is the coach or coaches I'm going to kind of form my personality with?
I am a rather poor athlete, Dan, and I just have not had many coaches in my life. I've had a lot of acting teachers, and I've had a lot of cool bosses. And
but you've watched sports, Phil Jackson, or it might be, a football coach. It could be Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick, Mike Ditka.
If anything, it's Tex Winter. Because It's a guy who is perfectly happy being on the sidelines.
And you got to explain Tex to people who aren't, familiar with Tex Winter.
Happily. Folks might know Phil Jackson, who, of course, his glittering career got really going when he was coach of Michael Jordan at the Bulls, and they won 6 titles. And but his offense was a triangle offense, which was accredited to his assistant coach, Tex Winter, who literally written the book on the subject decades earlier. And Tex Winter was just happily an old man with gray hair and a real nice suit that got nicer every year, sitting a few seats down from Phil. He had no, Julius Caesar aspirations or Brutus aspirations of taking any other seat. He was perfectly happy where he was, and he knew his place, and he'd be there for Phil no matter what. And that's really what Beard is. He's the opposite of, like, say, Charlie Weiss, who's like, wow, we're a really good team. I should probably be a head coach now. But more about not being Charlie Weiss as much as I am about trying to be anyone else. But Tex Winter, yeah, I'll stick with that.
Are you in the celebrity bracket challenge with us? March Madness?
Knowledge, but I've been losing brackets for decades, Dan. I'd happily do it here too.
All right, Fritzy, did you reach out to Brendan?
We did. Sounds like we're going to work that out, and he'll be a part of it.
Okay. Can you teach timing? Comedic timing?
Wow. I think you can, but you have to start young, and you have to really drill it. Like, I think I learned timing from neglectful parents who didn't necessarily know for sure that I was going to school, even as far back as first grade. And so I stayed home and watched Bugs Bunny and Tom and Jerry and Woody Woodpecker. And I guess those were violent. You're not allowed to watch them anymore. But my God, the clinic in timing was invaluable. And so I don't know if you can just show up to some random masterclass video and get it, but Bugs Bunny will set you straight for sure.
What was it? The advice Jerry Seinfeld gave us: be loud and fast on a sitcom. That
has been the rule for many a sitcom for the last several years, and it's because it's been the rule. It's kind of been maxed out by, like, essentially the greatest sitcoms of all time. So we very consciously have sort of broken that rule from the beginning. We go a little quieter and a little slower, and we lure them in with hypnotizing them.
And no dog dies in season 3?
I can't speak to that, Dan.
All right. Does anybody die in season 3?
Oh, everybody dies. Everybody dies in season 3.
Is this like the Sopranos of soccer? Like everybody dies at the end?
Yeah, it fades to black in the 89th minute.
I like it. Hey, great to meet you. Congrats on being an overnight success after 49 years. But we look forward to season 3. That drops, as we like to say, Wednesday, March 15th. Thank you, Brendan.
Thank you, Dan. This is a thrill, man. Appreciate it.
That's Brendan Hunt, actor, writer, producer, all-around good guy, Coach Beard on Ted Lasso.